Hello and welcome. This is Rasheen for another episode of You Are Not Alone. Today's topic is Black single fathers, and we have with us currently Kazar Aziz. And we're going to just talk to him a little bit more about what it is like and what it is to be a Black father, and basically a lot of questions around that. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and say a little bit about you, your fatherhood. So, tell me about you're a single father. How many children do you have? How many children are you a single father of? How old are your children? Things like that. Give us a little context.
Okay, yes. My name is Kazar, and I'm a single father of one. He is 14. He's 14. I'm a father of three other kids. I have another 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And yeah, that's about it.
So the question that I just asked Kazar to answer is, can you hear me? Okay, just a little bit of noise. But so the question that I was asking him was, tell me, a little bit about yourself in terms of being a father. How many children do you have? How many are you a single father of? If child, male, female, just give us a little bit of context as we go in.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm Fitzgerald out of the Washington, D.C. area. I am a single dad to one amazing 15-year-old now. I have one son and no other children. So I have one.
All right. So thank you for that. And thank you to everyone who is joining us. So another question that I have for both of you, and it doesn't matter if he answers it first. I want to know, what does fatherhood mean to you? So I'll go ahead and start with you, Kazar. What does fatherhood mean to you?
Well, you can answer that first. I'll wait.
Okay. Fatherhood means to me is, just taking care of my responsibility, guiding giving my children guidance and advice, and just, trying to, raise them the quote unquote the right way, to the best of my ability. Just taking care of them and loving them, and just, being there to guide them, quote unquote, down the right path or whatnot, to the best of my ability.
Right.
That's what fatherhood. That's what fatherhood means to me.
Okay. And you, Fitz?
Pretty much, it's a roadmap to their destiny. I feel as though fatherhood is like that combination for their future. Fatherhood is everything. I mean, I don't have an eloquent, philosophical answer. It's just being a father, right. Being a father, you just that cat that just holds the destiny to your kids.
So tell me this. Now, both of you shared a little bit about what fatherhood means to you, and that's exactly what I want to know. You don't have to come up with some other, contrived answer. I literally want to know what it means to you specifically. Another thing that I would like to know, that I'm kind of curious about, is how do you see your role as father different from that as the role of a mother? You're both parents, but what do you think fathers provide that mothers either don't provide, or maybe they just provide it differently?
I believe a father provides the affirmation and the identity and that confidence to a child. I believe a father instills who that child is. That's what I believe a father does. The role of a mother, she's definitely, in my opinion, the nurturer. And I'm not saying man can't nurture a child, but you all have that different type of nurturing. Being a single dad, I'm responsible for giving my son the edge in life, because these streets out here is rough, and women do a good job that are forced into that role of raising a child. But I don't believe, I believe a man's role is vitally important in affirming and providing identity to a child. That's what I believe.
Thank you. And you, Cesar?
I mean, like they said, like I feel like women say naturally nurturers, and what I'm saying, just me and my experience, it's like, first off is being a man. First off is being a man raising a future man. Like you said, giving them the tools to go out in the world and deal with, try to, guide them and deal with certain things, especially being being a black man and coming up in this society, it can be rough, so, providing, giving them, like say, the edge or the tools to go out and to be productive men in this society with, all the different obstacles they might face, there's different ways to deal with them, and it's just a little bit, it's a little different than than a woman's role. So that's just.
Okay. So Fitz, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with your father?
My dad and I started out. Well, let me just say this before I start. I come from a long lineage of strong black men who have been around their kids the whole time. My mother's father and my father's father both left the family by death. I mean, if that makes sense, they were there, and the only reason why they were separated from the family because they died. And so my father has always been in my life. Now, I have not always liked my father. I think that's a natural thing for young black men anyway, because I talked to my father. He said he couldn't stand his father at the time. So with that being said, there was a point my father and I did not like my father, only because of the requirements that he had of me at the time. Looking from the bottom up, the demands were unreasonable in my eyes. However, what I realized, what he was doing, he was shaping me for these evil streets out here. He was making me into a future man, but at the time I didn't understand it, and I despised the discipline that he, put on me. Because looking back, I would say my little brothers and my little sister, they got away with bloody murder. The things that I couldn't even think about doing that, and it was oops upside your head. So my father and I, to this day now that I'm older, and it didn't really hit until probably, I'm not even gonna lie, so probably about 29, 30, when we really became friends, because he was a man of few words. He was there, but to hear the words, I love you, that was like Christmas, maybe once a year. You know what I'm saying? From his word standpoint.
Yeah, he expressed his love differently than words.
Exactly. His love, his love was, you got clothes, you got food, the heat is on, the gas is on, and I'm here. That was pretty much his love. So
is he from the islands?
Nah, he from Macon, Georgia, country boy.
Wow.
Country boy.
Okay.
But that's what my father, him and I didn't get along. And then now we're thick as thieves now, because I'm raising a son. And I'm like, oh man, I see that. Like just the other day, my son was out there cutting the grass, and my father rolled up. He was filling the gas can up. And I was like, boy, you spilling gas everywhere. And my father just started busting out laughing. You did the exact same thing, So he sided with my son. I think this son.
You like, really?
Yeah, really? No, why do you do that at Pops? Come on, man. So it started out as he loved me, but I hated him. And then it moved to, man, I love him in a dorm, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for him.
Yeah, got it. So, Kizar, tell me a little bit about your relationship with your father.
My relationship with my father is different. Um, when I was younger, and my parents they divorced when think I was in the fourth grade, and he really wasn't around much. He was an addict, so that his addiction kind of took priority over me. It was even, even an instance when my mother, she passed when I was 15, and he didn't step up to the plate, and take care of me even after my mother passed. So our relationship has really, we never really had I respect him as my father because he's my father, but it's not like we're not close. Even to this day, um, when I moved to Baltimore, he came up, my grandparents, he was staying with my grandparents. They was too old to take care of him, and they was going to stay with my aunt. My aunt asked if he could come up here, and I said yes. So just out of respect, just the respect thing of taking care of your parents, like I said yes. And so he's up here, but our relationship is not. I'm still working on, I guess, forgiving and letting go a piece of it, but it's still some ill feelings between. From my perspective, from me. So, but he does good with my son. I think he tries to make up for, not being for me through my son. So, you know what I'm saying? I respect him and I appreciate that aspect of everything. But yeah, our relationship is not the best.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about, Kazar, how your relationship with your father has informed how you father.
My relationship with my father showed me what not to do, basically. It was like, my father was there for me at my time of need, so I wasn't going to do that to my son. When the time when I, gained custody of him, that I was like, I wasn't going to, his not being there influenced me to the total opposite of what he did to me. So, and it's been a bumpy road. I don't know everything, but I've stuck with it, and then to this day he's still here with me. So, live and learn and try to, they say, guide him to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Fitz? How has your relationship with your father informed how you parent or how you engage with your son?
It has shaped the way I handle discipline. That's for sure.
Tell me about that.
Say that again.
Tell me about that. How has it shaped the way you discipline?
Well, my father, like I said, he's from the country, and he beat the brakes off me. He was like, "You do something wrong, I'm gonna get you for the old and the new." It was an old school type. You living in a dictatorship, not a democracy, type of deal where it was what I say goes, and if it doesn't go, then you can go. So it was an iron fist. Now, how have I done discipline now? It was an iron fist. It was an iron fist. But what I've realized is kids today are totally different. The influences and the things that are around them and affecting them are different than what the challenges that I had to deal with. So my approach to my son has evolved. It's no longer the iron fist type tactic. It's more so. At first I thought I was being a sucker or a soft dad by asking him, well, why are you doing this? Well, what do you think about that? What are you going through? I'm like, my upbringing was like, what? Wake up! Tell him what to do and keep it moving. But I've had to learn that my son is not me. He's a separate little entity that has his own way of thinking, and I had to really ask God to help me. How do I get through to this little cat? Because what worked for me didn't necessarily work for him. My father was the kind that ruled, I don't want to say by fear, but you was scared of the cat. You know what I'm saying? You was scared straight for the most part. And what I learned was I had two choices. Either I stopped doing the bad stuff or I learned how to do it and not get caught. And me, I took the last route, learn how to do it without getting caught. So I was able to transition and shape shift and make things happen. But going to my son is totally totally different.
So you've adopted some of those things in terms of like the way that you were reared, but with a more nuanced take because you realize the time and the ages are different. Is that what you're saying?
Say that last part again.
So you've adopted some of what your father did in terms of his techniques of parenting, but you have shaped it a little bit around the nuances of the times that we're living in and your son.
Absolutely. Like that old saying, you know, you meat spit out the bones. So that's where.
I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah, the country boy.
I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to everyone who is in the room listening right now. Sean Cole, Sterling, Fitzgerald, of course, for being live and on the camera. Cam, and of course, Kazar Aziz for being here with us. Another question that I have for you, gentlemen, is what does parenting look like for you in the age of Black Lives Matter? What is that? What are those conversations like? Have you had any conversations? And both of you are fathers of sons. You're single fathers of sons, right? So that has to hit close to home in a way. So what are those conversations like? Or have you had any of these conversations with your son in this age where all of this is happening more visibly? Not that it wasn't happening before. Y'all know that's not the case. But in a situation where it is a lot more visible, what's that conversation like?
That is a very real conversation. My main point that I tell my son is pretend he's a baseball player. When he leaves the house, pretend you're a baseball player, and your main objective is to get home safe.
Yeah.
When you leave the house, your main goal is to get home safe. Whatever it takes to get home safe, that's what you do. I don't care what it appears to your peers or what they'll call you. Understand this. If you get home safe, that means you're around to deal with whatever comes. You know, that's it. I actually have written a little guide based upon that, you know.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I mean,
find the link and drop it in.
Oh, I definitely will. Thank you. But pretty much it was just telling people how to deal with the police when being pulled over. Because although my experiences as a young man growing up with the police were not pleasant. And like you said, the only difference now and then is there are cameras everywhere now. You know, but growing up in the 80s in Prince George's County, the police would beat the brakes off of you any chance they get. And I mean, I wasn't always on the right side of the law. So, but at the same time, when I was doing right, they still was gangster. But my conversation is, you know, get home safe, son. Do whatever you have to do to get there, because you never know what somebody's going through. You never know. You may catch them at the wrong time, and they just got a lot going on. So you have to put aside your ego, your pride, your machismo, and acquiesce and get home safe.
Yeah. So what are the case are? What is that? What is parenting like for you in the age of Black Lives Matter, and what is that conversation like with your son in terms of all of these things that are happening?
I mean, we've had in-depth conversations about it, you know, even to the point where, you know, he feels like, you know, it came to the point where he's talked to me and said that he, you know, is scared to, you know, walk the streets, because we're here in Baltimore City, and he he expressed his concerns with everything that's going on, and like he said, I just make sure I keep him level and be like, just make sure you pay attention to your surroundings, make sure you watch who I'm saying, who you with, make sure you
Now,
watch.
when you say, just really quick, when you say he's scared to watch the streets, is he scared? Like, are you saying he's scared of the police?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So just tell him to be aware of his surroundings, be aware of who he is associated with, be aware of, just make sure that he is doing the right thing, and even if he has any problems or anything comes up, just make sure he is trying trying to do the right thing.
Is he distracting right now?
Huh? I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
it. So this is good, and I appreciate you guys sharing this. So still, while we're on this, how are your sons? Like, is there a new awakening for them or for you as a parent, as a father, in terms of, like, is there a new conversation that is generated that wasn't generated before as a result of this whole Black Lives Matter movement, police brutality, what Tamir Rice, John Crawford, Freddie Gray, Eric Garner, Mike Brown, I mean, Sandra Bland, like the list is forever and a day. Is there any new awakening for them? Like, are they, because so let me just give you a little bit of preface of why I'm asking this question. I remember like maybe 7 years ago, maybe 6, where I would talk to young people and they felt like, Obama's president, we're good, everything is gravy. And they didn't see, like, racism was like something that was historically happening. It's something in the past. Police brutality, all of these things were like past things. This is like, you're talking about the 60s. You're talking about all of this. Is there any new sense of awakening around that, or any new sense around that for either of your sons?
Yeah, I believe so, because I know my son, he would like to think that the world is colorblind, and would like.
Uh-oh. I lost sound. Hazar.
I hear you.
Oh, say it again. I heard he likes to think the world is colorblind.
He likes to think the world is colorblind, and that everybody should love everybody. It should be peace and everything. But I feel like with all this recent recorded violence against Black people, I think he realized that that it really is real. It's not it could be him, it could be me, it could be a friend of his, it could be it could be anybody at any point in time. And I think that like I said, there is a awakening for him.
I lost. It's going in and out for me.
Yeah, it's not as easy. It's not as loving. It's not all love like you would like it to be.
Okay. What about you, Fitz?
The conversation has not really changed. My son has an understanding that that bad things happen. The reason why I'm a single father is because a drunk driver killed his mom when he was 11. So he understands he's experienced how rough these streets can be to an extent. So did it not happen because of Black Lives Matter or this whole movement? I don't think my conversation would have changed, because from my experiences growing up with the police and just rogue authority figures. And like Quasar said, I don't ever think he thought, well, no, I can't say that. My son I think that he well, I instilled in him early that you got to be twice as good as the next person, because you know, coming from behind the pack, off the break. So I've always tried to instill that into him early, let him know he has to do the extra mile just to be equal or considered to be as good as, if that makes sense.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about, so we talked about a little bit about, you know, Black Lives Matter. You talked a little bit about that he has to do extra to just to be considered equal. And that's actually a common theme that I actually hear quite often. How does, and I'll start with you, Kazar, how does your child that you're raising as a single father, how does their identity around being, how does their gender specifically and their race specifically inform how you parent? Like if it was a young girl that you were parenting, you know, how would that inform it? You know, so I'll let you go ahead with that.
Okay, so basically you asked me how it would be different if I had a girl versus a boy.
Well, that just basically how do both of those intersectional identities of his race and his gender inform? And I'm saying both of them because one of the things that Fitz brought up just now was how he tells his son that he has to be twice as good just to be considered equal. I'm assuming that he's saying that because his son is Black. So that's informing how he's you know, parenting him, training him, what knowledge and information he's giving him. So how does, you know, the fact that you know that you are raising a Black child, not just a Black child, but a Black male, how does that inform the lessons you pass on, the way that you discipline, the way that you engage, those sort of things?
That has a big influence on it. Number one, like say, from being a black, and from being a Black male, because of, you know, of course, because of the history of this nation, and you know, just the separate, you know, how they separated the Black family and everything. So of course I have to, you know what I'm saying, number one, knowledge of self is very important. So he needs to understand that, you know, his identity, where he comes from, know that you know, our history didn't just begin over here when we got here, and, you know, with civil rights and all that, everything before that. So, you know, I feel like that's a big part of his identity, being able to recognize that, you know, that he can do whatever he would like to do. It's up to him. There is no limitations based on his race, based on, even though people will try to label him and put limitations on him, but it's up to me to instill that he needs to make sure that he knows that he can be whatever it is that he would like to be, or, you know, and have, you know, give him the tools to go forward with whatever it is that he would like to do. So I feel like you know, that's very important. The influence of him being a Black male, and you know, and how I raise him, and what information I pass on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Will you, and next, and two, when you talk, I could tell you're holding something, you move your hand as you talk. If you can try to hold it still. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so you, Fitz, how does your child's identity inform how you parent them?
I'm a little old school. Because of the influences that are out here in this world that are real, and because of my belief system, I constantly, frequently, often reaffirm my son, you know, who he is, what his legacy is, where he came from. We watched Lion King maybe, I don't want to say once a month, but probably like once every 2 months, just to help bridge the gap of, just because you may not feel you're a king doesn't mean you're not a king. I tell him, you know, coming from who we are, you like women, straight up. You know, you're a boy, and you like women, and we protect our women no matter what. You know, I instill in him. I don't allow him, and some say it's barbaric, but I don't allow him to do a whole lot of feminine type stuff. You know, like some girls in the neighborhood do double dutch. You can learn the skill of double dutch, but you're not gonna be jumping rope with them girls. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a boy, you know, and what cut the grass or something, play some ball. That's just me. Because in these streets, even there's a hidden agenda, I would say, an assault on the black man. And even through fashion, you know, with this unisex type stuff. And I'm not gonna take it super deep, but I make sure he knows you're a black man. We like women. Woo, woo, woo.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Okay. So that's how. So that to me speaks to also, I guess, like sexual orientation. Like specifically when you say you know black women, like you know that you like. I'm thinking that you're putting the emphasis on him being with a woman and not being with someone of the same sex. Am I getting it? Am I picking it up right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not homophobic, but I stress to my son, we like women. You know, your preference is women.
Okay.
Because if you leave it,
let me just ask you this question: when you say when you tell him we like women, are you saying that like only? And I'm only asking this question because it wouldn't seem like you would have to inform him of that. Like you wouldn't have to tell him what he likes.
well, if you just look at TV, the influences that are out here that are running rampant. I mean, you have all kind of influences. And if you look at some of the more popular shows, it shows that it's okay to, you know, like the same sex. And if that's your cup of tea, that's cool. But as for me in my house, I'm not training them that way. You know, so I have to, the same way I had to teach him how to put on his shoes, the same thing I'm teaching them on what I expect. Right. I believe in setting expectations so that way they know they have something to live up to. You know, it's not just you can just do whatever. Nah, it's not in my house.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's telling you know that also that's telling me in terms of like identity form, like you're defining and explaining to him what is your expectations of him as a man.
Absolutely,
being a black man, right?
That's part of the affirmation. That's part of me affirming who he is. You know, even in the Lion King, you know, the king didn't say you like other lion cubs. Nah, he didn't say. You know, he didn't tell him that. You know, nah. And so my whole point of saying that is you have to, in this day and age, there's so many influences begging for attention, begging for their focus that my heart's desire is always to be an influence on my son, no matter how old he gets. You know, even when he gets 40 years old, I want him to still think about, dang, what my father do right about now? I still want him to have that kind of respect for what I've instilled in him. Yeah. That kind of legacy. I know his buddies are jockeying for his ear. I know that.
Right.
I'm not stupid. I mean, but that's why I got to keep planting little seeds, you know, because I want to fill the garden with the crop that I want to see develop, not a whole bunch of weeds.
Got it. All right. No, this is good. Thank you so much. So I want to share this link really quick, and just in case anybody wants to go over there and look at what I'm about to talk about. But you don't have to, because I'm just going to basically just read this graph. And it's basically debunking some of these myths about how involved Black fathers are. And it's showing that on most of these scales, Black fathers are either more involved or about the same as every other father on the spectrum. So it's fathers living with their kids that are under the age of 5. So these fathers had a much higher rate of feeding their children, eating meals with their children, and interacting with their children on a daily basis. Also, fathers not living with their child Black fathers interacted with those children at a way higher rate. It looks like certain fathers don't even come up on the spectrum. Played with their children daily. Black fathers rank higher than all of the other fathers listed on here. Or actually, the second highest. Latino is at 82.7. Black fathers 82.2. In terms of their interaction, reading to your child daily is showing that Black fathers 34.9. I mean, it's just higher in so many levels. And one of the things that I like about this article, and there's actually another one, and people are interested in looking at some of the other ones too, articles that were done over the years in just terms of debunking some of these myths about Black fatherhood. And that's also one of the reasons that I feel like to have this conversation is important, because not only are fathers very much present, there are also fathers who are the only Black fathers who are the only people at the same time who are present. A lot of times I know some of the statistics, like this particular article talks about the statistics of single mothers. And really the only thing that they're taking into consideration is that the mother isn't married. So she could be married, she could be not, legally married, and the father still lives in the home, or the father lives up, they're still co-parenting. So it's very important in these spheres that not only are we in communities of color part of the conversation, but that we're writing our own narrative. So I really appreciate both you gentlemen coming on to help tell your own story and tell your own narrative from your standpoint and your experiences. Now I want to get into some more questions around a slightly different topic. And then let me add this too. My brother, who has been the father of a child that's not biologically his for several years, and he's been trying to have a child. He wants to make his way in this world and to be a father. And he's having a hard time making that come to fruition. But the story that we constantly hear within Black communities is absent fathers. The father's not there, they don't care, and all of these sort of things. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation. Now I want to ask you guys, in terms of being single fathers, and I know that just means that basically that you're not married. I want to hear about some of your experiences with dating as a single father. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you start us off, Fitz. What is that like when you're trying to date as a single father? Because you got to manage certain things. You froze. Did he freeze for you too, Kezar?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he just needs to refresh. Kezar, you could start it off. Tell me what dating is like as a single father. Oh, that face. I'm so ready to hear this. I am so ready. I'm gonna bump you, Fitz, but you can call back in. Hi, Kiana. All right, so tell us.
Yes, dating is interesting. It can be a challenge because it can be challenging because of the influence of me and the interaction between me and my child, and interaction between me and my child and the person I might be dating. Different personalities, different, learning each other, getting along. So it can be a challenge, and it's when the question of when is the time right, for the people to introduce the child to the person you're dating. You might not all the time necessarily everything doesn't work out the way that you would like it to work out. So the thing of breaking up or splitting up, and then once you start dating someone else, reintroducing the child to someone else. For me, it's been a it's been a challenge because I've been in and out of different relationships, and and I haven't really here and there we talked about, I'm saying, I try to, talk to him about, I keep it, I'm saying, try to talk to him about when, something like going right, or if, when I break up with somebody that, I'm saying, so he won't be influenced, but to minimize the influence that what he sees, versus, what he's going to do in the future. I'm saying? I know and this can be difficult to try to balance that, because, people get comfortable to the point where you're like, okay, well, this is the person I'm dating. I want to meet I want to meet my child. And, unfortunately, if it doesn't work out, then, the cycle kind of starts over again.
Yeah. So how do you
it can,
determine when is a good time to introduce the lady that you're dating to your son?
I'm sorry?
How do you decide when is there a good time to introduce the person you're dating to your son? What are some of the factors that go into when you're thinking about, I'm dating this person, do I introduce them to this person? Do I not? Am I still dating them to figure them out first and then introduce them? What is that?
It's more like, once once I get to know a person and feel comfortable enough to, if it's serious enough, or if I feel comfortable enough for him to introduce, then that's when, that's, my, like, it's a judgment call basically on my part. Once I feel like, the time is right, then, I'll make it happen or not happen. Basically like a comfortability thing. If we talk about it, yeah, that's just basically like a judgment call.
Okay. When you are dating and you're deciding whether or not, have you ever had any issues where the person that you are dating, I don't know, has conflict with your child or wants to take priority, or have you had anything? Has it been pretty much copacetic between the people that you date and your child, and if so, how did you navigate around that?
Very carefully. Yes, there has been times where, not necessarily that the person wants, to take precedence over my child, because for the most part that doesn't happen. But I guess, it'd be a thing of where my child might want more, like want more of my attention. So, when that, at that point in time when that comes, then I make sure that, give him more attention, and I'm saying, maybe set some time aside for just me and him to, have a day together, or spend some time together, every, once a week or twice a week, just me and him. So it won't be a thing of, okay, well, this person is taking, all my father's attention or whatnot. So, I'm saying, so he won't feel like I'm just, giving this person that I'm dating all my attention and time.
Right. Okay. I can't wait for Fitz to come in so he can answer this question about the whole dating thing. Tell me, how do you, okay, great. We're just waiting for Fitz to get connected. Are you there? I just see a black screen. So I'm going to ask you this, Cesar. How do you manage co-parenting? How do you manage parenting with the other parent? What does that relationship look like? What is that dynamic? How do you make it work? Or does it work?
Yeah, at this point in time, there is no co-parenting, because unfortunately my son.
I can't hear nobody.
Hold on for a second. We're having a little bit of fuzziness with the sound. I can't hear you right now. Say something, Fitz. I can hear all of your background. Okay. Comcast, is that what it is? Okay, so go ahead. I was asking you about co-parenting. How do you manage your co-parenting situation?
Right. Like I said, right now well, his mother was not present in his life for just until recently. Um, she reached out to he reached out to her, she reached out to him. Basically, until this point, I really just been doing it on my own. So it was a situation where we were co-parenting together.
Hold on for a second. I'm getting some mix up with the sound. Oh, can you mute Fitz? Okay, go ahead. Kazar?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I was saying, like up until recently, there was no co-parenting. There hasn't been, for 4 years, and yeah, that's where it's at right now. Until recently, they got in contact with each other. They've been communicating, and that's about it. That aspect.
So with things like
I thought I was muted.
it's not. Okay, now that's good. So when it comes to things like you said she hasn't been around, hasn't been involved. When it comes to things like child support, how is that navigated?
Child support, yeah, I haven't received any child support.
Okay. So
Just,
in the sense of being a single father for you, you are not receiving financial support from the biological mother, or not only not financial support in terms of child support, but she's also not active in his life, is what you're saying.
yes, that is correct.
Is that right? Okay. All right, let's see if we can hear. Hi, Kente. Thank you for joining us. Let me go ahead and give a quick room shout out to everybody, and thank you guys for joining. Kiana, thank you. Kente, who's on his 300th day of Blab. Steph, thank you for joining. Sterling Clinton, who's been with us since the beginning, thank you. Fitz, thank you for being on the show. And Cam, you've been with us since very early on too. Thank you for all of the props staying around. Danny, thank you for being here. And of course, Kazar, thank you so much for being engaged. And I also want to give another shout out to the chat. And I just want to hear where everybody's listening in from. So just type your city, type your location. Where are you positioned right now? Where are you listening from? No, okay, you don't get to say living room Fits. All right, you gotta say you gotta say a place. You can't say Mars either because I'm not gonna believe you. Okay, so we have Baltimore, Maryland. We have Houston, Texas. We have Mountain View, California. Thank you, Danny. Salute to single fathers because they don't get credit. We have Providence, Rhode Island in the house. We have Kente, who's from Mars. And of course, we have Fitz, who is from his living room, probably somewhere on Pluto. And Kente is in Houston, Texas as well. Awesome. Danny, Red Wine Land. That sounds like a fantastic place. So, Fitz, say hello, say something. I want to ask you that question now.
What you want to ask me? Shoot, come on, let's go. Let's rock and roll.
So first, I want to ask you about dating, being a single father. How do you navigate the dating situation, and what does it look like for you?
Yeah, women crazy. You know that, right? Nah, I'm messing with you.
You just gonna come out the gate with that?
Out the gate. Pew! What? Nah, dating. It's dangerous. It's crazy out here. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. I mean, it okay. Really is. It really is.
I'm going to ask you a more specific question. How do you determine, or what have you, when is a good time to introduce the person that you're dating to your son?
Oh, that's like an FBI check. You know, that's like because it takes a while, because a lot of times you meet, and I don't want to sound cliche, but a person's representative. You don't know how crazy their crazy really is until it shows up. So I'm very protective of my son because of the tragedy of having lost his mom. I know that he yearns for another female to be in that capacity. So I'm very selective on who I let meet him. But like I say, dating in these days, everybody has baggage. I mean, it's the truth. At this point, they have baggage. You got to determine if their baggage is worth your time check it in, you know, but only time will tell. So I'm very selective on who meets my son. I am. Fortunately for me, his grandmother is a big help. So if I want to go out, you know, I can. And now he's older, so he can be home by himself if need be. But as far as him coming to the castle, nah.
So you mentioned, you know, how your son yearns for that maternal type figure or having a woman like that in his life. Is your mother the person who kind of fills that role for him in his life?
My mother?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I get that. So does he have someone that does kind of come close to that, or not really? That's just kind of like
my sister has stepped to the plate really big in that arena for me, and I thank her for that, you know. But no, I don't. You know, my mom, her age bracket is definitely different than you know than his mom. So nah, I don't put her in that situation.
I see. So what about you, Kazar? In terms of maternal role, how does your son yearn for a maternal role, or how does he get that need met?
Yes, he most definitely does yearn for that maternal role, and yes, he does have someone that he goes to and that he feels comfortable with in that role.
Okay, good deal. Also, I want to let everyone know in the chat, if you have any questions that you would like to ask our Black single fathers, please do go ahead and click the drop down for the / so that I can know that it's a question, and it can highlight for me and we can come right to it. I just have a few more questions to close it out. She have a little bit of, okay, that's better. So tell me, what is some of the things that you feel like are really good activities? Because both of you have sons, both of them are around the same age. And we talked a little bit about how you guys parent or how you guys father in the age of Black Lives Matter, how you parent as it relates to their identity in terms of their racial identity and gender identities, how you guys are doing with dating. Kazar, you told me some of the experience with co-parenting. I want to hear more about two things. I want to hear about work-life balance for you, and if that's a thing that actually exists for you. And I also want to hear about what are some of the actual activities that you do with your son to like solidify like you guys' relationship. Like, what are your bonding, or what are your what is fatherhood? What is parenting in action outside of the discipline and the knowledge?
Go ahead, Kazar, go ahead. Right.
The question again?
So it was basically, what are the activities? What are some of the activities you actually? How do you do work-life balance? What does work-life balance look look like in terms of being a single parent? Like you might have to work late, you have to work on the weekends, you may not be able to make this function. Another parent, you know, you don't have another parent on with you to kind of fill that slot. So what is that? And what are the activities that you and your son do that you kind of bond over those particular activities?
Okay. Work-life balance is really is really challenging for me because of the hours that I work and the type of job that I have. So, but he understands, and he spends a lot of time. You know, sometimes I have to work late. Sometimes I have to work on the weekends. But I mean, you know, I talk to him, and he understands. He understands that, you know, what I'm doing is I'm working to be able to provide for him, as far as you know, provide a roof over his head, provide food on the table, provide clothes on his back. So he does understand the aspect of, okay, my dad's going to work, but he's going to work for a reason and a purpose, not just because he has nothing else better to do. So he does understand that aspect of it. And some of the things that we do to bond and spend time is, you know, he'll be like, you know, Dad, I want to go see this movie. I'm like, okay, well, we'll go to the movies, or we'll go. Like today, we went and hung out from school shop, hung out, walked around the mall. You know, just sit down and have conversations and laugh and joke and bond.
Chris, can you mute again? Okay, go ahead.
Just spend quality time with each other. As far as, like, you know, if it's something that he would like to do, I make sure I try my best to, you know, go ahead and accommodate that, because he doesn't ask for much, and when he does, I try my best to accommodate whatever it is that he would like, you know, or whatever his interest is, or whatever it is that he would like to do. But for the most part, just like movies, hanging out, just spending time, having conversations. Maybe it might be lunch. You know, we go sit down and eat somewhere, or, you know, just basic things to bond over.
Okay. And you, Fitzgerald, work-life balance and activities that you do with your son?
Work-life balance for me does not exist,
Okay.
because I enjoy what I do, and being a self-employed entrepreneur, that's part of the reason why I chose that life. So that way there would be nothing holding me back from making those activities, because I am a single parent. I didn't have the option of, now his mom can go. You know, that's not an option. So I had to do what I had to do to make myself available for my child. The activities that I encourage and push him to do are team activities. Of course, the common sports, you know, baseball and basketball, because he needs to understand that he has to learn to get along with other people. You know, he has to learn that you're going to have to count on somebody else sometimes to help you achieve a goal. So that's why I push the team sports. And then I also push individual, because sometimes you got to do it yourself, baby. You know, you got to buckle up and hold on tight and make it happen. So we have a diverse and a complex relationship, but work-life balance does not, there is no such thing in my book.
All right. So one of my last questions that I have for you guys is, so actually I have two. I just thought of the other one that's like, I feel like is one of the most important things. What are some, first I want you to answer, what are the values that you feel are the most important to pass along? What values, like if my son gets nothing else, I want him to get this. I want him to understand this. I want you to tell me that. And then I want you on camera, both Kazar and Fitz. And I also want all the men that are in the chat, and the women, if you would like to participate as well. I want you to think about, because both of your son is 14 and your son is 15. I want you to think about your 14 and 15-year-old self. And I want you to think about going back and having a conversation with them. And I want you to tell me, what is the thing that you wish someone would have told you at 14 or 15? What is it that you want them to know? And people in the chat, please do share, because I want to be able to read your responses out loud and to people who are listening to the replay who don't see the chat. And if their son so happens to stumble upon this video, I want them to get inspiration from not just their fathers, but inspiration from everybody in the chat, wishing them well, giving them encouragement, giving them life lessons or what have you. Like, everybody have wisdom to share, even if you're not a male. You can think of your 14 or 15-year-old self. What did you need to hear, or what do you wish someone would have told you at 14 and 15? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. What I would tell myself, my younger self, would probably be, you don't have to be a hustler. You can hustle, but you don't have to be a trickster or conniver. You don't have to be that person to get ahead. I will also tell myself, to a younger self, to learn to value the differences in others. So those are two of the things that I would tell my younger self. What was the other question?
What is the one thing that you want to make sure that you instill in your son as a father?
Oh, that's my belief in Jesus. You know, you gotta have a higher power that we subscribe to, and without him, you know, we're really not going to do a whole lot.
Okay. Hagar?
Okay. I would tell my 15-year-old self that the sky's the limit. Like I can do whatever it is that I want to do. Like the sky's the limit. Like I can be whatever it is that I want to be. I can do whatever it is, achieve whatever it is that I want to do, as long as I put in the work. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, it's interesting because both of you would have told yourself basically, like, you have options. You don't have to. So, and it makes me wonder if when you were that age, did you feel like you were trapped? Did you feel limited? Did you feel like you couldn't do, be, and have more? And is that why that's so important to you now, to let them know?
Yeah, for me, I felt, I didn't, like my self-confidence wasn't at the level that it is now, of course. So yeah, I didn't believe that. I didn't realize that, you know, that I could do whatever it is that I wanted to do. So yeah, I felt like, like I didn't know, because nobody ever told me, nobody ever instilled it in me. Yeah, and then until later on in life that I actually realized that, you know.
You know, it's kind of hard to really answer that question, because one, I don't remember my 15-year-old time frame, other than I couldn't wait till I was 15 and 9 months so I can start driving. I mean, you know, that's what I do remember about being 15 and 9 months. I was at the DMV, baby. But that's what it was. Yeah. You know, and the influences are totally different. I mean, the world is smaller now than when it was when I was 15, because I was telling my father just yesterday when he was over here, we were talking, the fact that I wanted to drive at 15 and 9 months so that way I could connect with my buddies and get over there and hang out with them, versus today, they connecting, you know, like we are. You know, it's lightning speed and connecting. So the options are different. You know, I never thought about talking to somebody on a laptop at 15, because back then, only thing we had might have been a Commodore 64 or VIC 20, and we had them floppy disks that went in, so there was no real webcam. I mean, a webcam might have been as big as me sitting on top of a computer. So I don't know what I would tell myself at 15, because the influences are totally different now.
Okay, that's fair. So one person wrote, I would tell my 15-year-old self that you are more than enough. Cam wrote, I give myself a lesson about the value of women and the arbitrariness of traditional gender roles. Corey wrote, I teach and inspire father to achieve self-ownership. So I really appreciate that. And I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Before I do, I was almost thinking that y'all were actually in the same place with this. Is this a single father thing with the red and white walls? Like, what's the deal?
No, listen.
It's a sign of good taste. That's all. I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
What is your interest in Black single fathers?
Oh, juicy. So one of the things that I'm most interested in is providing a space for conversations that are not part of the popular discourse, right? There's a lot of conversations about marginalized groups where we don't talk to those groups and get their lived experiences, their insights, their information. And I think that if one of the things that I also enjoy learning about and hearing about is communities of color. And a lot of times, a lot of the work that I do focus around women, but you really can't talk about community and leave men out. And if you're also going to talk about fatherhood, you need to talk about it in a holistic standpoint, and to also know that it's not one monolithic community. There are several communities. And those two articles that I put in earlier that's up in the feed that debunked a lot of these myths that are pervasive in popular culture about Black fathers. They're absentee fathers. They're not around. They're, all of these things. And both of those studies, both of those articles show that Black men are either more involved in their children's life than other racial groups, or they are about the same. And that is not the narrative that we hear. So I wanted to add those actual studies along with hearing from the actual people who are living this experience. And not only are you two Black fathers, but you're single fathers. And for both of you, what I got from your stories is that you are doing this alone. Like, I mean, not alone, like, because I'm sure you probably have some community around you, but both of you do not have, Fitz, because of your situation, his mother died. Kazar's situation, the mother is not involved. He's also not getting child support. So those are the conversations and the narratives that are not included, right? So that's part of my interest in it. And I love that question. Any more? No. So if anyone else does not have any more questions, then I am going to wrap up this episode of You Are Not Alone on Black Single Fathers. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. I am going to do a quick room shout out. And I want to say thank you to Corey for being here. Thank you to Kiana. Thank you to Jada Lopez. Thank you to Kente on his 300th day on Blab. Thank you to Douglas. Thank you to Sean. I so appreciate you. So Steph, who's my partner in all sorts of shenanigans. Thank you to Sterling Clinton. I saw that you tweeted out earlier. I appreciate you. Fitz, thank you for taking the time to actually come on the show and share your experiences and your standpoint and the lessons that you share with your son. I find it invaluable. Cam, I appreciate you. You've been here since like the beginning, giving everybody props, answering the questions. I love it. Danny, my favorite female comedian, thank you for providing humor. Dr. Vibe, thank you for being here. Hazar, I appreciate you sharing your experiences and your insight. And Workplace, thank you also. Thank you for everybody. Good night.
You stopping the recording or you?
Yep.